Welcome to Industry Insights with Route Consultant, your front row seat to the fast-moving world of logistics and beyond. Each week, we bring you game-changing insights, real-world strategies, and fresh perspectives to fuel smarter investments and build stronger businesses. Join us as we sit down with expert guests to explore emerging trends and pressing topics across a wide range of industries. This is Industry Insights. All right, we are back on site in Atlanta with Brian Haney to talk through the rest of your EMS journey. Yes. I think for those who haven't seen the last one, we took you up from the early days to a lot of strife and turbulation to make sure that you finally started your first EMS business.
We did.
You
we
got through got through those initial opening days and that first year. And I think what we really want to focus on today is what the rest of the journey looks like as you continue to expand and grow and everything that you've built today. So why don't we kind of start where we left off? So you were about a year in. You made some things work, but still early stages. So what was next for you?
Let me summarize that first year real quick for you. We didn't have a clue. We knew how to run calls. We didn't know how to get the money in.
Yeah.
And that was the part that was missing.
I think that's consistent for a lot of new people is they figure out how to move patients there and back, but not how to make any money off of it.
Yeah, absolutely. And so if you don't have money coming in, the money going out is going to just become a burden and you shut down and get frustrated and quit. And you don't want to do that. But I went through a couple of different quote unquote outsourced billing companies that knew what they were doing. They didn't. And I finally got with one. It took me about 8 months. I finally got with one and money started coming in. Enough money. Not all of it, enough money. And there's a lot of stories here. But enough money started coming in to where we could pay the bills. And real quick, just some highlights is the $30,000, $37,500 investment turned into a little over $110,000, which I had to pay back all the loans, the interest, and I had to pay 10% of the gross whenever I was ready to buy that investor out. And that was when I learned the difference between 10% of the gross and 10% of the net. But if you're willing to win, it really doesn't matter. But it's a big difference in money. But that year, we finally got to a company. We started learning how to get the money in. We started learning actually, and be very careful about this, but knowing what transports to take, what transports not to take. Some will get paid, some won't get paid. So that's just, my kind of twist on that real quick. And you become better at finding the ones or taking the ones that you can. And that's the other thing too, EMS is you don't have to take every private EMS. You do not have to take every transport that comes in.
Well, talk a little bit about that because I know that, when you're starting, you're just like, I need clients, I need revenue.
I need to run calls.
So how do you start to make that decision?
And the more calls I run, the more money you make. No, you
don't.
don't. You do not. There's definitely a quality versus quantity scenario in every business. And there's definitely one in EMS, believe it or not. So all that being said, insurance companies have several different factors, several different ways that you have to approach them in order to get paid. Well, a lot of hospitals, if you're looking at that route to transport for hospitals, they will just call you and not care whether you get paid or not. They just want you to get the patient out of the hospital or to another hospital or back home.
Yeah.
They need the bed. They have more people coming in. It's not their job to know or care about what you do. That's fine. And you can run all the calls you want and the hospitals will give you all the calls you want. But it doesn't mean you're going to get paid and the hospital doesn't have to pay you. Mm-hmm. So that's one. And then understanding that factor is you start as a private EMS service, you can start saying, hey, I need to start focusing on these ones that pay. And the ones that pay is the ones that you constantly try to grow and do over a period of time. And that becomes your bread and butter.
Yeah.
And then if you can do other things, there's like prior authorizations you got to get done to qualify the patients before they get transported. From a hospital, you have a certain amount of time, whether it be a couple of days or a week, that you're allowed to get things prior authorized. There's also different kinds of insurances that don't pay or not covered for hospital transports. Their insurance just doesn't cover. And that's the one thing for people in general. I'm talking to you and everybody else here. Make sure that when it's never expected that you're going to be on the back of an ambulance, but when you do, you're going to get a $2,000, $3,000 ambulance bill if you don't have, insurance for it. Mm-hmm. So make sure when you are looking for insurance, ask them about ambulance transport. Ask them about not only ambulance transport in a 911 situation, but also ambulance transport behind the scenes, which private ambulances do, private EMS does, is behind the scenes transports. You got to make sure that your insurance company is going to be transporting you from a lower level hospital to a higher level hospital, and you don't have to pay for it. So make sure you ask about those things. It's really important. And I try to encourage a lot of people. I talk to anyone and everyone when they try to talk to me about insurance, that take care of yourself.
Yeah.
But all that being said, it's definitely something that I had to learn. I lost a lot of money over it. Probably would have been retired if I could take that money that I lost and put it into an interest-bearing account. But all that being said, it's just kind of one of those things where you just don't know until you learn and feel it. And so that's kind of what happened to me the first year. But so now we're at the first year. I got money coming in. We're turning bills. We're turning insurance claims. Everything's going well. We're working with the dialysis clinics. We're expanding. We're growing. We're doing the best we can with loading up the trucks, running as many transports as we can. So that's kind of the first year in a nutshell. And then, so our eyes are definitely set on becoming not only doing enough business in that area, but we want to be number one in that area. How do you do that? Right?
Yeah, there's a big gap between I just started and I want to be the best in the region, the state, whatever it is. So, that's a vision, but what did you actually do to start getting there?
Well, I did two things. One, I bought out my 50% partner, or my quote unquote 50%. He was 45% because he gave 5%, I gave 5%.
Yeah.
I bought him out, got him gone, and then I bought out my investor. That was in the third year though. But I got them to sign a contract with me to leave the second year that we started. And the reason why is because I knew that they would never be as hungry as I was to get going and make things happen, because I definitely didn't want to just stay at a 2 ambulance company.
They're going to slow you down with the vision you had. Yeah,
absolutely. So growth was in my mind. I just didn't know which way besides being the best in my territory. So that was like the first thing. If I can get the first call, I get the first chance, the first opportunity, I'm happy, and that was kind of my next goal, and that's all we looked at. So I would make sure that I was customer service. I was doing follow-up. I was making sure that everything that was being done was being done for the right reasons. I think we talked about it just before we started here, duplication. What are you duplicating? And is everything that you have going the right way? So, but that billing department, the billing company that we found, and then duplicating the kind of transports we were wanting to do that we're paying, and understanding that what the timelines we needed to work within to get payment from those types of people. Those were the things. And then I knew the fact that being the first call that they would reach out to would solidify me in that territory as a very reputable, very professional, and profitable company.
Yeah. Okay. So it was all about making sure that you built a brand and enforced the right image of that brand, so that as everyone got to know you, you got the first call, like you said, and you made sure that you got a second, third, fourth, and that everyone told everyone else what they can expect from you.
Absolutely.
And build it from there.
Yep.
And so you're building processes that you want to replicate. You're trying to expand. How long was it before you started to add additional ambulances?
Well, little quick story. Money wasn't coming in real great.
Yeah.
And when it didn't, I actually had a couple of ambulances repoed.
They found you again.
That was history. You don't want history to repeat itself.
Yeah.
It can repeat itself, but you don't want it to.
Yeah.
So in that place, in that space, it was just more so of finding that billing company that I said, was telling you about. But while we were doing that, we finally found it. We had a couple replaced, but transparency and honesty will get you everywhere. It really will, with anything, any way, any shape, any form in business. A lot of people feel like, you need to keep your cards, you need to do this, you know that. No, I didn't have time. I couldn't remember the lies. I couldn't remember what I said to somebody. I really didn't, because I was the driver. I was the medic in the back. I was taking care of the patients. I was the salesman. I was doing I was ordering the marketing supplies. I was doing the scheduling for the EMTs. I was hiring, disciplining. I was doing it all. I was answering. I was the dispatcher. And I was the guy, and I had a desk. at the office. And, again, I would get my naps and I would get my 2 hours and then I would head home when I think everything's done. And then by the time I almost got into bed, I'd get a phone call. And so, going to that point, what I was trying to say is, once you get these things done and after a year, you're ready to go. You identify who you are, you identify the successful factors, and then you get going and duplicating those. And what I started to do was surrounding myself with people with the same beliefs, because obviously I couldn't do it all anymore. It was hard for me to let go of those situations because you want to still keep that brand at that level, but you have to if you're going to grow.
Yeah.
Once you realize that, you start hiring people, promoting people, training people, seeing what level they can do. Strengths and weaknesses was everything I was looking for. Okay, you're good at doing the employee schedule. You're good at doing the patient schedule. You're good at marketing. You're good at, X, Y, and Z, and whatever that may be. And so those are the things that I was looking at through the people that I had. And then I was always recruiting. So I was working at the fire department still while I was running the business. And I would talk to all my buddies who I thought a lot of. And I had guys would drive an hour and 20 minutes to help me.
Wow.
Manage for me. When I wasn't there, I needed somebody there I could trust. Who do you trust? Your fire brothers. You go to school with them, you train with them, you fight fire with them, you run EMS calls with them, you sleep in the same room as them. You eat with them. It's just your second family. It's who you trust. So that helped out a lot. And, it's not going to help in every situation, but it helped in mine. And again, this is me explaining, my experience in this industry. So.
Yeah. So you had some resources that you were continuing to kind of build. What would you kind of view as your next big step?
So it was expanding, and networking, is important. Knowing people in the industry, and like I said, I was sort of networked from geographically from my fire department to where my EMS station was, and I knew there was needs in other areas.
Yeah.
So what I did is I said, okay, now that I'm the prominent, provider here, I'm going to go to this area because I hear there's needs. And then I'm going to go meet with that person. I'm going to find out what those needs are. And I found out what those needs were. And so I said, okay, hey, there's a little space over here that we can rent. We can put a truck there. Let's start talking to my fire buddies. Do you know anybody in the area? Yeah, I know people in the area, EMTs, paramedics, whatever they were. Okay, we'll run this type of truck. We'll service this hospital, and then we'll service these clinics that we know that they need help too. So we sort of do a pre-plan of the area.
Yeah.
Once we do the pre-plan, we find out what our needs are. If it was 1 truck, 2 trucks, 4 people, 6 people, paramedics, advanced life support, basic life support, whatever it may be, we would go in there and do that. And then we would open up the doors and get going. So that was my next expansion into a county about 50 miles away, which was difficult.
Yeah.
And then so at that point, I knew this thing was growing and doing better, that I had to leave the fire department and manage this thing. So that was my separation point, was 2 years in. And so once we did that, again, be careful what you're duplicating and who you surround yourself with to help have the same vision as you do and the same desire to do a good job. So that was kind of my next step into growing. We went from 2 trucks and then to 4 trucks, and then we ended up with 8 trucks. And I stayed there for about 7-8 years. We stayed around 8 trucks.
So 8 trucks was the size that you got pretty comfortable with.
Very comfortable.
Yeah.
And I actually started hiring people to run the operations and training people to do the operations because, like I said, it took me with if you're counting the 2.5 years of preparing for this and not sleeping, and I know not sleeping is a situation for a lot of people, but for me, I was in a different scenario. I was in a different state of mind, and not everybody's going to have this because guess what? If you have the proper funding, you can sleep as much as you want. You really can.
Yeah, but it's also just like you said, you did what you had to do in the moment to make it work, and you did it and it worked.
Yep.
So
I had to.
Yeah.
For me, I didn't have a big investor, deep pocket investors. I didn't have all these things. And, but it can be done a different way. My way is not anybody else's way, but it's definitely a way that's been paved. And I've learned where all the landmines are. And I've learned what not to do, how to do it, shorten the learning curve and make things happen faster for anybody.
Yeah.
And so that's what my experience is in telling my story. But my story is unique to me. So my story makes me who I am, and kind of at this point in my life where, I'm really happy with how it went because I wouldn't have changed any of it. Yeah. It was fun. It was really scary, but fun.
Okay.
But So once we got to 8, and I went through a ton of managers, I probably hired over 300 people and fired over 350 people, and finally aligned myself with some solid people that just wanted a good job and wanted to do the right things, and that helped out a lot. But ultimately, it got to a point to where I kept growing and other people weren't. And so I wanted more to do more. So I'd always try to align myself and look for that next person to help me get there. And it always worked out. Doors were always open. Like I said, there's always a spiritual aspect to this as well. And you always want to stand still before you move, just to make sure at this point, because you do have something to lose at this point with 8 trucks. And so I took some time off, and I gained back time with my kids. I gained back time with my family, and I walked away from the businesses, not totally walked away, but walked away far enough to where I felt comfortable. It scared the crap out of my wife because she's more of a micromanager than I am. And I knew I was building something for me to where I could have that quality of life to where I could build it as big as I want. And the only thing I got to do is make a couple of phone calls. I tell everybody that works for me, my upper level managers, if they're serious about it, I bring them in and I talk to them and I say, my goal for this business, my dream for this business, and it will be a goal one day, and it's actually coming true June 22nd.
Okay.
And then you're talking 15 years now, maybe a little bit longer, 17 and a half if you count the times business, sucker. But I always had the intentions of being able to run these businesses from a boat offshore, far enough to where I'm almost to the seaweed line to where I can find some fish, but close enough to where I still get laptop reception to where I can see the reports, check in with cellular with my managers for about an hour, and then go. I said, that's it. And June 22nd, guess what? I'm going to be starting that dream.
Work from boat. Yeah.
June 22nd, 2025.
Where will you be? What part? The
Sebastian,
Gulf?
Florida.
Okay.
Sebastian, Florida. It's on the Atlantic side. It's Treasure Coast. It's probably 50, 70 miles north of West Palm Beach, Florida.
Well, congratulations.
And it's right on the water. And there's a dock, and I got to go get my boat once we close on the house.
Yeah, I think that'll be that moment, I think, where you're working from the boat and you can just visualize the sleepless nights and everything it took to get there is going to be surreal. You know what's
scary?
What?
I don't remember one of them. I don't. Unless I really think about it.
Yeah, which you don't want to. Yeah, it's a part of your life you went through, but it's
it was like going to college for 13 years. It was like going to high school.
Yeah.
It was like, peer pressure in middle school. I mean, it was all of that crap.
Yeah.
But it was something you had to go through.
Yeah.
And I would do it again, and I would have done it longer to get to where I am. And by the grace of God, I'm holding on to this, and it's growing by itself. It's a self-growing monster, and it's a good monster.
And so how large have you gotten now?
Okay, so 8 years, we were looking at that. So we are right now, we purchased our 52nd ambulance, and we are in 8 offices across the state of Georgia. We're going into Alabama. That'll be 4 more ambulances. So we'll be about 56, 57 ambulances by the end of the year. Yeah. And we're going to be running about 70 to 75,000 transports per year.
Wow.
From nothing to a dream,
nothing
to putting
for
stuff
years
on paper,
to a very large business.
Yes.
I don't know if you can give any kind of range of what, like, revenue, what does that look like at that size business? Just for people who don't.
Just to cap it on an annual rate, you're looking at anywhere from 15 to 17 million a year.
Yeah. So thinking about that, it's just crazy to compare those two parts of your life.
From having 2 ambulances repoed?
Yeah. Now, and I know too that that's not the only business you started in this space. So beyond just expanding and growing to where you are, what are some of those other kind of wings of the business that
evolution of the business, evolution of need of the business that was not being filled.
Okay.
Just like the ambulance service, once I knew I could open it up, I knew I'd be good at it. I knew I could learn it. I knew I could do it. Billing's the biggest problem with ambulance service. No cash flow, no go.
If you don't have any money, doesn't matter.
No. Yeah. If you get all the money you want to spend, going out, you ain't got nothing coming in, doors will close. I promise you, you can open up as many businesses as you want. You can close as many as you want. If nobody's coming in, you're done. So I had to learn, and again, going back to the billing company, they were doing about 60% of income for me. I needed the other 40%. Actually, I needed at least another 30 of the 40%. And the other 10% I could just get when I could get it. But really, operationally, 90% cash flow would be great for any company out of the 100% that you're trying to collect. So all that being said, you get to a point to where it's like, okay, I can do this better. I know I can. So you figure it out. So I get software. Well, I got the software. And how I negotiated the software is a different story. The guy owed me or did not collect about $365,000. I went into the owner of the billing company and I said, this is not going to happen again. I said, I want reimbursement for that money since it's timely and there's time that goes by and you can't collect on insurance claims. And he said, what do you want? And I said, I'm definitely leaving you as a client. And I want 1 year's worth of software billing, so I can bill for myself. And I need to be taught. So I took 2 people that I knew, myself and my wife, and I think that was it. And we went down there and we spent a few days and we learned how to bill. Once you learn how to bill from that software, that was it. We started building our own spreadsheets. I actually had a legal pad, several legal pads, and I had a reconciliation process of I ran this many calls this day. These were the run numbers. We submitted this many calls that evening or the next morning. These were the same run numbers. And then I made sure that those run numbers from that batch that we sent up came in and they all got paid. And if they didn't, I'd call and find out why.
Yeah.
This is simple. What we do is simple. You can make it as difficult as you want.
I was about to say
but if you're organized and you have a plan and you execute your plan and you be consistent in your plan, you're unstoppable. Mm-hmm. Your longevity in this business will make you great. It will force you to be great. There's no other option because you will get constant phone calls because everybody else is failing. If you can go ahead and pick up these patients and transports, you're going to grow. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of what we did, and we were really good at it. Well, they tried to come back and get our business, and the person that tried to come back and get our business and billing was the owner's daughter. And the owner's daughter was just impressed of what we were doing. She goes, we're losing people left and right. She goes, I'm not a greedy person. She goes, would you be willing to share this with other people? And I said, yeah, I'll teach anybody. Yeah. I'm just totally about that, pay it forward. And she was like, great. She goes, would you be able to bill for these people if they weren't interested in doing it themselves? And I said, I don't know about that. She goes, well, I do. I said, let's talk. And so we talked. And so that's the evolution of where the billing company that I opened up in 2015, I opened that one up. And we've been rocking and rolling there. We have a little over 30 clients. We're more of a boutique. Mm-hmm. We're the people that show up when you got no other option. Okay. And we're like, we're going to take care of you and we're not going to rip you off and we're not going to charge you through the nose. And we're going to make sure that you know exactly what you're getting paid on and what you're not getting paid on and explain to you why. Mm-hmm. And we're going to help you design your company the way you want to do it, the way that you see it fitting into your lifestyle.
Yeah. Yeah. It sounds like it's just one of those things that outflowed from, I need to do this myself. Mm-hmm. Turns out a lot of people needed this, and we built a process, and I can help you get there.
I had 8 clients within 60 days because that's how bad it was. And she knew them all. And again, know your networks, build your network. Yeah. You never know what path you're going to cross with what person. Keep their card.
I'm still waiting to hear if horse trimming comes back into the story.
You know what? I still trim my own horses.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, so it's a skill you maintained.
And I'm going to keep doing it. I don't want to lose it.
So after billing, I know there's some others. What was kind of the next evolution?
Next evolution was billing, consulting, obviously. Yep. And then now I just opened up my own auto brokerage, and I'm brokering new and used ambulances. So that's another thing we're doing too as well.
Yeah. So basically all parts of this equation,
things that you need, circle.
But that you can provide, you got the expertise.
Because guess what? People are looking at me, they're asking me, hey, what would you do here? What would you do there? That's where the consulting came from. Yep. And then, hey, do you have any ambulances for sale? Do you know anybody with ambulances for sale? Hey, am I getting a good price?
Yeah. Well, I guess I might as well sell it to you.
And I'm like, I can help you.
Okay.
So, and I said, why not make some money off of it?
Yeah,
so
why not? Yeah, I've got the expertise and the connections.
I literally opened the doors last year, actually. Yeah, last year, I think in October. And we really didn't get anything off the ground until like January. We did our first deal in January. Now we've done about 8 deals, and there's money in the bank account. And I'm just like, I don't even need it or touch it or anything. And I'm just like at a point to where it's just like, this is great. Like, and it's just coming because it's a part of that evolution, a part of that thing you built so many years ago. Mm-hmm. And all those people that you met along the way. has got you here, and then now it's got you here, and now it's got you here, and it's just been an evolution since. So, and guess what? Sitting here with you is freaking me out because I'm just like, how did I get here?
Yeah.
But I do know how I got here.
Yeah.
You know?
You can look back and trace it,
It
but
was
when
the
you're
craziest
there,
thing in the world.
Yeah.
You met Jake. I know Jake. I've known Jake for a long time. Jake with Veritas Equipment. He's the finance guy. He's the finance guru. He's the guy you want to call when everybody else says no. Jake will get it done. He'll get you the ambulance, and he might not be the one you exactly want, but it's a ambulance that you can operate and make happen. And that was a pivotal point in my life too that I didn't talk about in growth, is you need somebody in your support because you're not always going to have the cash for it, you know? And so that was the thing with Jake that I always had to reach out to. And he was always there for me in the corner, encouraging me in one way, shape, or form. And once you guys contacted Jake, do a little speaking engagement, he said, I'm not going to do anything without Brian. And I'm like, thanks a lot, Jake. I get to do this great stuff that I never really wanted to do in this light. But I'm definitely interested in doing now that I'm actually doing it. I met you, I met Giovanna, I met all these great people in here, Shelby, and everybody, and it's just like, hey, I'm here telling my story, and I love telling people my story. I just didn't know I'd be doing it on film. So that's kind of thing. So
now you can tell a lot of people. Yeah.
Jeez.
And I think there's also you have a nonprofit as well that you started up.
Yeah. And so that was the passion for the industry, just because there's lack of it. Number one, it was the $10.27 that I was making. People go get certifications, but we're out in the field. And you got a paramedic that's out in the field making decisions that an ER doctor makes in the ER room of the hospital. And the paramedic's out there doing the same life-saving treatments that an ER doctor would in the hospital. The ER doctor would actually do a little bit more because he has more. You know, he has more staff, he has more educated staff, he has more drugs, he has more equipment, he has more da-da-da-da-da. Mm-hmm. We don't have that out in the field. So for me, it was just a slap in the face that I got to work 60 hours out of 72 to make a living and make a blue-collar living. When we're doing the same thing out in the field that physicians are doing. They go get a higher education. I'm not putting it down whatsoever. You've earned it.
Yeah.
You know, you got the, the school loans, you got all that stuff. And, and you definitely have the education. You have the tools that, at that level you should be performing at. But, I definitely wanted to see that. So One EMS became a passion for me from the industry inside, just from the fact that we needed to start getting paid more. And then the diminishing amount of people that were coming into the medical field. So that was One EMS. And really One EMS, what we started now is offering the opportunity for anyone, anywhere, shape, or form that's interested in the medical field to come into the medical field and see if it fits for them. See if serving people in their time of need and emergency is the thing that they want out of life and get paid for it. And nowadays you're getting paid for it well. Anywhere from $50,000 a year is the basic level up to $100,000 a year as a paramedic.
So explain a little bit more. I know you're saying it enables medical education, enables people to learn about the space, but what is it that you guys are actually doing?
So what we're doing is we're applying for grants. We're applying for donations, and we're asking for donations. And what we do is we go to career academies. And what we found is that we go to those trade academies, we go to those trade schools, and we find out that a lot of people want to get in the trades, but a lot of people, college ain't for them. So we go to the schools, we reach high schools, we reach out to all sorts of people. We actually take the ambulances and go to middle schools, and the inner city stuff that you should do and give back, and even elementary schools. And the kids love it, and they think it's cool when you light it up and do the sirens and stuff. But it also gives that sense of pride and that sense of service. A lot of people, the military is not for them, and they're looking for a paramilitary,
a way to serve.
A way to serve and give back and make a living out of it. And so we try to educate that and try to start from a younger age versus just waiting for people to make a life change like I did. And because there's a huge need, just like in any healthcare industry, whether it's the hospital or EMS or fire or whatever it may be. We're trying to get ahead of that curve so we can get people interested back into it again.
Yeah, I'm sure that's a big part of the problem. It's just not even being aware that those paths exist and what your lifestyle could look like, and that you don't necessarily have to go to medical school. And so I'm sure a lot of it is just kind of opening people's eyes, especially at a young age, to what those opportunities are, but then actually paving the path for them to get there.
Absolutely. And we can do it quicker now because the state of Georgia, every state has a different level of EMT.
Yeah.
And so at the beginning for me, it was like EMTI intermediate was the only one that you could get to. And so they don't have that anymore. You can go basic, you can go advanced, you can go paramedic. So those are the new options. But the thing is they take a year to achieve those certifications. And you got to pay about $5,000 to $7,000. You got to spend days, nights, whatever. You're putting a huge investment in. And what happens if you don't like vomit or blood?
Yeah. If you don't find that out early.
So now they have an R program. So you can find out if you like vomit or blood.
I know I don't. I know that was never my path. Yeah.
And so it's cool. And it takes about 3 months,
Yeah.
and it's about $800. And you can do it at night school, and it takes 3 weeks, like I said. And you know, or you don't know, and you haven't wasted time and a lot of money to achieve that. So we're subsidizing, we're paying for, and we're also just offering classes to anyone that can afford to do it. Yeah. And we're just trying to make it happen one way, shape, or form, because if, you know, the way you eat an elephant one bite at a time, if everyone would just do a little bit, a lot of things would change. And so, and then obviously bringing in the pay preference would be a great thing. And then also my thing I'm most passionate about, which those two I very am passionate about, but the most passionate one is I always felt like the redheaded stepchild as a private ambulance owner. So we're for profit. 911s, county services, city services, they are not for profit. They're nonprofit. And what they do is they get the grants, they get the subsidies, they get the state money, the federal money, the tax monies, they get, you know, all the trauma money to buy medical equipment, supplies, so on and so forth. I don't get that as a private ambulance service. And it really perplexed me because I have to meet all those requirements. I have to do the state. I have to do all these things that they do. Yeah. But just because I'm a for-profit company, which guess what? If they don't break even, guess what they do? They hire a private ambulance service and they outsource the 911 service to a private ambulance service that's for profit to come in, and they got to make money. Yep. So really everything's for a profit. You have to, even nonprofits want to make a profit. And so they can keep growing and do what they need to do. So it's perplexing to me that we're not inclusive and we're not as good as, when we are as good as, we're taking care of the patients behind the scene more so after they've been taken to the hospital. So all they do is get them to the hospital, and then we got to figure out how to get them back to wherever or to a higher level of care. So it's a little bit more intensive. And I'm not saying what 911 does is in any way, shape, or form any less compared to what we do. I'm not trying to say we're the best, we're better. I'm just saying we're a part that they're not wanting to be a part of.
All right.
I'm just saying that we're not, we're excluded from certain things that they're included, but we round out what they don't do, and we finish what they don't do. And, you know, it's very, I meet with EMS directors everywhere. I consult with EMS directors. I bill for EMS directors, and they even know the value of private ambulance services. They just want to make sure that for them, that they are doing and being as compliant as they are, because in private EMS, you could run, there's no year on an ambulance that you can't run. There's some services out there that should be out of service. I'm sorry to say that. Raise your game, ladies and gentlemen, raise your game. Get some newer equipment. It ain't got to be brand new. And get some uniforms that look good and some ambulances look good, and make sure if you were going to put your grandma in that thing, or grandpa, or a family member that you love dearly about, that you would want to put them in yours. So that's kind of the way I look at things too. As well.
So there's so much, you know, that from that alone is so much that you're doing for the community. Yeah. You look back, you've built all of these different pieces of a business. You're on really, you know, a pretty high summit compared to, you know, where you were. But if you were to look back on yourself or on anyone who's trying to get into this business, they're looking at the mountain they have to climb. You know, you've given us a lot of wisdom already, but just your thoughts on somebody who's in that mindset of, I want to get into this business. What should I be doing, or how should I be preparing? What would you give them?
Number one, you got to be interested in it. Yeah. You know, if I'm not interested in a lot of things, and there's a lot of businesses out there like dry cleaning or, you know, hotels, right? It's just not an interest to me. I was interested, and for me, it was specific. It was easy for me to transition to this as an ownership. For all those that any type of business you want to get into, if you're interested in it, that's the most important thing to start you off. Number two is do you want to be an owner, or do you want to wait, or do you want to be the guy that works your way up into being a chief executive officer? Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Because there's nothing wrong with that. You're going to do very well as a chief executive officer in the hotel industry. Maybe not so much at a pizza restaurant, But, everything has its limits. And if you love to make pizza and you love people and you love to see people eat and all that, then your reward is exactly what you wanted. But all that being said, if you were to look at getting into the ambulance side, and that's the only thing I can really speak of, is that you definitely want to make sure you got a good plan in place, make sure you got the money to back you, because and then make sure you got a good billing process, and make sure you have somebody that you can call out to, refer to, that can educate you on shortening your learning curve. And there's plenty of people out there that will do that. Not necessarily for free, but there are definitely people out there that will help you to enter into that space. And again, for those that have started the space and are stumbling and bumbling, there's also people to help you, reach out now. I've never seen more coming together of private ambulance services in small groups, especially when you're in certain geographic areas. They reach out to each other. They depend on each other, because you can't do it all. I tell every hospital that we have a contract with, every clinic that we have a contract with, I'm not your answer. I'm a part of your answer. Hopefully I'll be the majority of your answer. But can I work with these other people? Can I bring in some people that I know that are reputable, dependable, professional, that will make sure that they get here when I'm not? Because I don't have enough trucks to service all these transports. Yeah. So can we network and do the right thing for you? And it's always been yes. And that's the changing of the industry that I see taking place once we get to the people that can truly make those decisions at the state level and federal level.
Yeah. So politics next.
I'm telling you, I'm ready to go. I mean, anytime Trump or Kennedy wants to sit down, and I will definitely point out the things that need to be fixed to fix this problem, and a few other things that are, they say common sense, right? They're the common sense party. You're still missing a few things, and I can definitely help you out with the ambulance side.
Okay, well, that's the next step. I'm looking forward to hearing that next step in your journey once you're on that stage too. I fully believe that if you decided to get there, you would.
It will be. I got a few more things to do. I'm not necessarily ready for that yet, but like I said, I got a exit strategy and an entrance strategy, and I'm working on that plan. So start your plan. It all starts here, and then on a piece of paper. And it will become a reality. It has no other choice to either become a reality, or you just pass it off and not do it and do something else.
Yeah. Well, I'll leave it at that. Brian, you talking us through your journey, talking where you've taken this business has been, I think, both enlightening to what is possible, but just encouraging as you see what you can be capable of, what opportunities exist in this business if you're willing to work for it.
And again, this is specific to me. Yeah. This was a journey. Yeah. It doesn't have to be a journey. It can be so easy from a starting standpoint. If you do want to get into this space, it's so easy. If it's something you want to grow, it's really more easy than you think it is. It might seem overwhelming when you're starting or wanting to be small or being small and wanting to grow. And then lastly, if you're looking to get into the space and just create a cash flow generating business, it's consistent, and guess what? It's COVID proof. Mm-hmm. Ask me how I know. I didn't get shut down. Actually, my business increased during those times where other industries were having to have a hurt and looking for other ways to generate that income or generate that lifestyle or generate any kind of security.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, as unfortunate as it is, people are always going to get sick. People are always going to need help.
Always going to need you in the healthcare field.
Perfect. All right, Brian, I appreciate you being out here.
Sir.
Thanks for being here and talking through the story.
Love it.